While Impactor and Mirage won a fan poll that ensured they'd receive new toys in the Siege line, most of the other candidates have since hit the shelves. This includes the Decepticon Spinister, released as part of the final wave of Siege Deluxes, with his paired rival, Wheeljack, showing up in Earthrise. Spinister's inclusion in the poll most likely stemmed from his newfound popularity, thanks to IDW's More Than Meets the Eye comics, where he's part of a team of misfit Decepticons, the Scavengers. Spinister previously turned into a helicopter based on the AH-64 Apache. In keeping with Siege's theme, this is supposedly a Cybertronian copter, though there are elements of the Apache present, like the style of cockpit windows. The colour scheme is very wild berry, mainly blue, magenta and purple. Outside of some deviations like the winglets being blue, not black, and the cockpit windows done in clear plastic instead of bright blue paint, the deco is fairly evocative. Also, some of the moulding, which there is plenty of overall, references the old toys stickers, like these warning arrows. Colourful as he is, I have some gripes with the design. Firstly, the reason for the winglet's colour change is that they now form Spinister's feet, and consequently come off as a bit oversized. And second, the arms could not be more painfully obvious, especially since the fists don't fold away. Then there's the second cockpit below. I'll explain its existence later, but I'm actually of two minds. Given I've yet to see an actual helicopter structured like this, I'm sure I'll be corrected. You could argue this is an intentional secondary cockpit, but since the old Spinister toy had just the one, I can understand why some might find it distracting. Or maybe you find it ugly either way. Both sets of rotors spin freely. There's a deployable nose wheel, though no other landing gear since the underside props him just fine. And of course, as part of Siege's combat play pattern, you have posts for effects parts and ports for weapons. Like Scoop, G1 Spinister was a double target master, his partners being Singe and Hair Splitter. The Siege toy comes with standard guns, modelled and to an extent coloured after his old partners, and furthermore, they combine like his old partners. Spinister's transformation is surprisingly complex, given the characters from a time when G1 toys were getting simpler, but here's where we take that pin out. The original Spinister figure had the cockpit unfold into the legs. They weren't poseable, they didn't split, and even if they could, said limbs would be scrawny as hell. Back then, this was the norm. Proportions and articulation weren't a concern. But times have changed, and such a design choice now, at least at the deluxe size, simply wouldn't fly. So instead of having a single cabin split here, they made that second cockpit, so that the legs are properly bulked up and poseable, while still being visually faithful. Another change is how the tail, A, actually sits flush on his back, and B, is positioned in the opposite direction, with the rotor and fin at the top. An improvement, I'd say. For more accurate features, the head is painted and sculpted like the original, barring his separately coloured optics and larger horns. More sticker details are referenced through several upper body paint apps. Lastly, the main rotor blades fold up in the correct orientation. You'd think they'd flop down, but they rest in place, unlike with a lot of helicopter transformers. You can tell this is one of the last Siege figures, as they had toned down the battle damage considerably at that point. Spinister's pretty damn articulated, and his joints are rather solid, though it could be good QC on mine. His head/neck is the only ball and socket connection I can make out. The shoulders and hips are universals, you have swivels below the shoulders and hips, as well as at the wrists and waist. His knees bend about 90 degrees, but the elbows, thanks to the transformation, are double hinged. Lastly, the ankles tilt back and forth and rock side to side. Admit it, he's so cool on a flight stand. I wouldn't quite call this guy Toy of his Year like others have, mainly because some of the copter's design choices irk me a bit. Nevertheless, with his fun transformation and kick-in robot mode, with plenty of poseability and combat compatibility, Spinister ranks up there with Shockwave and Impactor as one of my favourites from Siege. And for those bothered that he only came with ordinary guns, the line also produced new toys of his Target Master partners. I have Singe, though Hairsplitter, now Shroot, was only available in the extremely hard to find Phantom Strike Squadron pack with Skywarp, Fracas, and Pterodactyl. Good luck with that one!